Hey guys,
I'm Jerry.
I'm Sierra.
We're ladies.
And we tangent.
Not the bayangs. I think it's so funny because like your natural like desire is to separate them and like take them
back.
to other side.
Do they look okay?
Yeah.
What's up, everyone? Hello.
It's been a while since we've done that, so I felt I didn't know what the cadence was, the tempo.
We took a week off, not intentionally, but we had an episode that we had already recorded that we were like, yeah, sure, let's do it here because we both had a lot of things going on. So
I think it's been almost 2 weeks since we've recorded.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So long.
So long.
You know, I say
and you'd
that,
think we'd have a lot to say.
It turns out no. Turns out we don't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just kidding. I say that all the time, by the way. For me, I don't baby talk to my child. I baby talk for myself. It makes me feel funny for some reason. I like it.
Funny as in like,
ha.
Okay.
Yeah. Not funny as in woohoo.
Like, not like, I feel funny.
Like, I'll say, oh, goodness, like to Corey or other people. Because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, my daughter she does it now and she goes, oh, goodness.
But that's cute.
It's so cute.
Cute. It wasn't for her, but now it is hers.
Now it's hers.
Yeah.
Speaking of her,
Mm-hmm.
she's a 2-year-old baby now.
She's a 2-year-old toddler. She's not a baby. She's not a she's not a baby anymore. She's she's a pre-kid.
A whole ass kid.
Yeah.
Well, so on our hey, guess what, everyone? We have a Patreon. If you didn't know, it's patreon.com/ladiesandtangents. So if you want, we are going to be playing a Would You Rather game and probably talking a little bit about Soybean's second birthday party because it was yesterday and it's crazy. And I guess I didn't realize, I mean, I do sort of understand how much our families are a part of the podcast, but like because Sawyer's birth story was so big and like I announced my pregnancy when it was getting big. So there's so many that have been along for the entire journey. I didn't realize how many people would be attached to that. Like the amount of messages I've received that are like, are you fucking with me right now that she's two? How has that much time passed? One of my favorites, honestly, was a comment that said, when she was born, I was a depressed high schooler. And here we are 2 years later and I'm a depressed college student. Or something like that. It was so funny. And I was like, I'm sorry that I laughed as hard at that as I did.
Love the growth.
But anyways, so we'll talk about that more on Patreon. Now we have important shit to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I was literally just going to be like, I think the only thing that I did was try extensions for the first time.
How was
and
that?
It gave me an immediate migraine, but so many people loved the photos that I took of myself.
They were beautiful.
Can I
You couldn't tell they were extensions at all.
Well, I'm good at editing.
And you were far away.
I was far away. And if I thought that there was some kind of like a visual disconnect or like, so my hair color is very blonde for a redhead.
Yeah.
And so I ordered the red color because there's not as many redhead options as there are everything else.
Shocker.
But I
quick gatekeeping red hair.
got them. And I could tell. I was like, this is not my red, but that's fine. Who gives a shit? But I think it's very funny that people are like, did you color your hair? Is it blonder? My cousin Erica, Mario Kart Erica, just asked me that yesterday. She's like, did you lighten your hair? It looks really light. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, it's dry shampoo. I swear to God.
So
it's a combination of dry shampoo and I'm getting white hairs.
Yes.
So like when my white hairs clump together, it looks like I have a blonde streak.
Listen, I was furious because we were talking to, who are we talking to about our hairs? Somebody. But I said, I'm mad because you get your beautiful wispy whites mixed in with your red that looks like blonde highlights. And when I let my grays grow in, I look like I just walked out of a woodsy house and I've been eating children. Like I look like a wicked witch in the worst ways. Like a wicked witch that would lure you into her house and then stuff you in her oven. It's so bad.
Can I tell you that when those photos I took up on our land, I've had a busy 2 weeks and I've not been sleeping much. And so one day where we had like a little bit of time, I had a free morning I decided I was going to just pamper myself and take my time to do my makeup and try these extensions out and put on a cute outfit.
Yeah.
And I said, fuck it, I'm going to go take pictures by myself in the woods. So I got my camera and I got my tripod and I walked up the hill.
Mhm.
Okay, first of all, I didn't drive up. I walked it in a dress. Okay.
Hey, it's
With gear.
It's steep. That bitch is not it's a trek.
So
I'll say that.
I did photos by myself. What I did is I set a timer.
Nice.
And so on my camera, it was going to take 20 photos with 3-second intervals.
Nice.
So every 3 seconds a photo was going to take.
Oh, I know. I've been on the receiving end of that with you.
Picture me just frolicking, running away from the camera, nonchalantly turning around every once in a while going, hey,
Yeah.
hey, or
Hoping it catches something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I do that in 3 different locations,
Mhm.
okay? By the time I get to the 3rd location, I'm now very aware that it is a weekday and there is a chance that there's going to be some kind of a worker
Oh yeah.
up there.
Oh my god, I didn't even think
Because
about that. 'Cause they
they've-
are like starting
Yes.
building stuff.
Yeah, they've already got posts and everything in the ground. They've been up there surveying. They're having people like put in the septic. They're doing temporary electric to get set up. And so I am on this rock, okay? And I have the camera set up and I'm just like doing my best aerial.
Sure.
And I hear talking
Uh-oh.
and I hear what I thought was like a 4-wheeler.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, oh, these people were just like, they can't drive their trucks up here. So maybe he just drove like quad up here. And
Honestly, would be sick.
I was fucking freaking out because I'm like, I swear to God, if the builders come up here and see me taking photos by myself, I'm going to be so mortified. So I quickly packed everything up, put it in my bag. I'm still in a dress
Right.
and a fluorescent yellow-green sweater
Yep.
with fake hair that is falling out because I didn't tease it before I put it in. So there was nothing for that shit to grip
Hold
onto.
on.
Yeah. And I just keep walking really, really fast because now I'm at the top of the hill. I have to walk all the way down to my car.
Oh my
And I just
God.
keep thinking, what can I tell them? Why can I tell that? What's going to make sense for me to be up here looking like this?
In a goddamn dress.
That's not going to
In a little house on the
them.
prairie motherfucking shit.
And so luckily there was no one there. I'm not sure what I had heard.
Oh. Goose.
But I didn't run into. And listen, I choose the ghost over having to actually face anybody. and
Having to talk to
explain.
real humans? Yeah, me too. 90% of the time, that's what I wish for.
My lie was, oh, you guys had said you wanted to move the post 50 feet back.
I was here to help.
I wanted to see if you had moved the post so I could get a visual. I have my camera because I was going to take pictures of it to show Shane because he couldn't also come up.
And I couldn't do that on my cell phone, of course.
Right. And
It had to be my tripod.
I had to have my giant purse with me as well. And I had to do it in a dress. And then I thought, well, how are you going to explain the fact that you have leaves in your hair and all
Bitch.
over your sweater? How are you going to explain? Like,
and then I took a nap. You wouldn't believe how tired it gets. You get out here.
yeah.
Alone,
But again, luckily
mapping
I
the
didn't.
things.
I didn't have to lie. I didn't have to come up with anything.
But it is fun sometimes to come up with a lie.
it is. It is to have a whole scenario
That's
prepared.
why I think that I could be a good author. Because sometimes I just want to lie for the fuck of it, for the story. And then I'm like, maybe just write it down.
It
Just
felt
do
like
that.
like an innocent. I don't know. It was almost like I was talking down my anxiety. Like, we're not going to get caught because I
No.
have the perfect escape plan in this lie
They'll never know.
that I plan to tell whoever I encounter,
Yeah.
who's most likely not going to ask, but they will
wonderful.
wonder
Mm-hmm.
and stare probably too long.
Tell their spouses when they get home.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, surely.
Okay. There's going to be a tone shift, okay? Because yes, funny, haha, things have happened.
That's who we are.
But also serious, not haha things have happened.
Mhm.
And
We don't want to just breeze past that.
we've had people reaching out. We've posted some things about what's going on with Gaza and Israel. And we have had other emails come in and messages come in asking us to talk about it. And we are very vocal when it comes to human rights, and when we feel like our belief systems are being trampled on. And so it would make sense why our audience is wanting us to speak on something that is happening to people where their lives are being trampled on, their rights are being trampled on.
And they're losing their lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Trampled on obviously being the most light, easy way of saying it.
Yeah.
But Sierra and I have been talking about what the right way to go about it would be, and especially because we are two white women of privilege who have only been raised in America and
small town America.
And we really have not had a whole lot of exposure to anything else. And we're also aware that like we have to do a lot of unlearning ourselves because of the things that we were either outright taught about the world or passively taught about the world. And so instead of us kind of giving our opinions, because opinion doesn't feel like the right word, because bottom line, no matter what, the loss of life is mortifying and is
horrible.
not okay.
No.
Obviously violence is never the answer. And but it's not a tit for tat kind of thing. It's not, there's two horrible extremes that happen, but one has been happening for a very long time. So instead of us kind of speaking about what we have gathered information-wise secondhand from different news sources.
Yeah, because we're not journalists. I'm not a political journalist, as much as I know you all rely on me sometimes to bring stories to give you information. It's not technically my job, and I didn't go to school for it. I feel comfortable doing that when I'm basically regurgitating information that is from somebody who's
spent their life doing that.
Yeah, who has a background in an education and is a professional at that. So in this case, there isn't, when it's happening in real time like this, it doesn't feel like my place.
Right.
So I'm gonna.
And it's also difficult because if you were born and raised in America and you lived through what happened in 9/11, we cannot ignore the fact that this country has lived with either subconscious xenophobia or just like outright xenophobia.
Yeah, especially during that time.
And since. And so I think that when countries, Muslim countries or countries in the Middle East are brought up in general, we already have a bias. And because we want to live in a world that seems black and white, right and wrong, there is only one answer to things, people are quick to create a villain. And I just would encourage everyone to kind of check in with yourself and check your bias with these things, because people are not born evil. So just keep that in mind. But I did want to share, I've talked about him before, but one of my best friends there is Palestinian. And he has been to Palestine a number of times. His parents came over from Palestine, and they've been in Ohio since. And the word that he used is like rage, because his country, his people are being destroyed,
slaughtered. I mean, it's like horrible.
So he actually is a part of. He's mentioned in this article on Medium, and it's called "For Immediate Release, U.S. Rhodes, Fulbright, Truman, and other scholars issue joint statement calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza." Over 1,200 scholars urge President Biden to demand an immediate ceasefire. I will make sure that this specific article is posted in the description and is accessible on our social medias. But I did want to just read Thayer's quote from it. He said, "I grieve the sheer loss of life in Gaza and the so-called West Bank. grieve for the people and the history, all of the heritage, all of that wonder in the decades-long process of violent erasure. What we are is a collective of hearts and hands advocating for a people who cannot use their own voice because they're being drowned out by blood and semantics. And if a people don't have a voice for their struggle, then they will die forever in suffocating silence. There is one of the most special people to me. He's one of my oldest and dearest friends. I actually read his novel that he wrote from the perspective of a Palestinian. It's a fiction novel based in the future, but it is very much rooted in what has been happening between Gaza and Palestine and Israel. And so from what I gathered from reading his book was just the humanization of his people.
Yeah.
And he has struggled to get it published because publishing companies know that people are not going to respond well to
that's so upsetting.
It's devastating. A character he has had numerous people tell him, your book is incredible, but we can't sell it. We're not going to be able to sell this because no one wants to read about this. And because he's also incredibly progressive, it's difficult. It's also challenging Muslim beliefs as far as there's a non-binary character in the book. And so he's challenging the viewpoints of white people who view Muslims a certain way. But he's also challenging the long-standing belief systems of the Muslim belief of people in the LGBTQIA plus community being less than. And so it's very important, but because of where the world is right now, it's just going to sit in the cloud. And like, it could do a lot, but it's just going to sit there. Anyway, I also wanted to read some of his words to me directly, not something that was published. And just a trigger warning, there is death. This is gunfire. Like this is intense stuff because this is his life right now. And as much as I think that we want to skip ahead and we want to just focus on escaping, these people can't escape. So the least we can do is give them a minute of our time to share with you. So I asked if he was okay, and I knew that even saying that was a loaded fucking question. And he said, no, I've been on the phone with my grandma and uncles and aunts and cousins and my childhood friends, gunfire and bombs and chants and screaming and anxiety and depression. 17 members of my extended family are dead in Gaza. My family and I are ready for the border to open so we can go be with them. Until then, I grieve and I rage and I will not stop. The so-called West Bank is about to rupture. Mass arrests of journalists tonight, nearly 1,000 raids tonight alone looking for Hamas when they take children and elderly. So like the children and elderly are being taken under the guise of looking for these terrorists. And, thousands of Israeli settlers, civilians are roaming the streets with weapons. And with Biden entwining Ukrainian aid with Israeli aid so the public can, that's just complicated. He says that Palestine literally calls this the days of rage because they're just angry, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's a stage of grief as
right,
well.
Right.
And just a really understandable response.
Right. And he said, if you do speak on Palestine and you want to offer literature, one of the most prestigious literature fairs in the world is held in Frankfurt, and they chose a Palestinian as the winner for the first time, but a little more than a week ago postponed the award and publication of her book due to pro-Zionism.
Wow.
Given Palestinian social media accounts are getting deleted, it's illegal to boycott Israel in 33 U.S. states. Private companies are firing employees for pro-Palestinian sentiments. killing and imprisoning hundreds of Palestinian journalists. Publishers are canceling contracts with Palestinians, and Western media outlets have fired pro-Palestinian scholars like Hassan Mohammed and George Galway. So Adenia is who he's wanting us to advocate for, and her book is called Minor Detail. You can still get it on Barnes & Noble's website. So he said, my family, my friends, my memories, my culture, our integrity as human fucking beings has been in the process of an actual, real, legitimate cleansing. So I just hope that people take a second to understand that there's not an evil living in Palestine, in Gaza, in the West Bank that needs to be cleansed. Because I think a lot of this is religion focused, at least in people's understandings.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like, well, Israel is the Holy Land, right? And so these people who we have deemed bad because of just an assumption of a culture need to be eliminated, or just like, I don't know. I just know that there are people who are hurting and who are having their lives destroyed, and are being like, they're having resources cut off.
Oh God, yeah.
They're being tricked into leaving the city and then being bombed. So we're mortified by what's happening, and we will post resources. We will post and give you guys access to the different educational tools so that you can have an understanding. But ultimately, I think where we stand is just that we don't want violence. We want the ceasefire is at the very least just like, these children, these families, they don't deserve this.
And
so.
if you're looking to gain knowledge and information about it, I urge you to look less into white mainstream news about it, because there's even been moments where I've watched it, and then as soon as a journalist starts talking about something that's actually happening, they cut off all of a sudden, and it's almost like, either way, listen to the people who are there, listen to the people who have family there, there are people who are trying to tell us what's happening, who are living it in real time.
Right.
I urge you to listen to them before you try to listen to somebody who is trying to manipulate it in a way to make it
justify
one side or the other. Because listen to the people who are there.
And that's something that we talked about as well when there were all of the protests for Black Lives Matter, because we were very adamant that like, I'm not going to sit and say that anyone is handling this incorrectly when, like, I don't know what it's like to be mistreated and to be afraid for my life, and I don't know how I would react in these certain situations. But there was an overwhelming amount of people when we were being vocal about that who would come to us and be like, well, what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And it was almost like, are you trying to bring those moments up to me to convince me that I'm wrong? Like, do you want, you are trying to justify your own bias of these people.
Yeah.
And I would urge you not to do that.
Yes.
I would say check that before you try to use that as a justification of genocide, essentially, and cultural erasure. So,
Hi, editing Jerry here. I just wanted to pop on to say, if it's not obvious from the amount of pauses and 1,000-yard stares that we both have, this was not something that was prepared in advance. This is not obviously a written statement that we are just kind of like regurgitating. This is our raw emotion in the moment, and this came after us sitting with our feelings for the 2 weeks since everything had happened in the news, and also adding our understanding that just because of the attack in Israel happening recently, what's been going on between Israel and Palestine is not recent. And so I think that we wanted to make sure that we acknowledge the fact that this is not a sudden, unexpected event, as horrible as it is. And we would never, ever want anyone, child, adult, whatever, to experience that kind of terror. I do feel it's irresponsible if we don't factor in the history between the two, and also try to understand the dynamic between the two, the power dynamic between the two. And like I said, we don't believe in a all right, all wrong, but we do believe that every culture deserves to exist without the threat of being erased just because of power, money, land, greed, or prejudice. So if we miss things in here, if we weren't thorough, understand it's not from a not wanting to, and it's also not from a lack of trying, but like we said in here, we're not journalists, we're just people, but we do want to make sure that we utilize our platform responsibly with things like this, and try to bring some kind of information, or at least like a mind map for someone who's maybe struggling with like some internal feelings that they're battling. Because as much as I love Thayer and his family, and I want to make sure that Palestine is not forgotten and just like overridden by Hamas, I also don't want to ignore the Jewish people that I love, and that support us. And because what's happening with the Israeli government in Gaza is not representative of the Jewish belief system. And ultimately, people in power are failing civilians, both Jewish and Palestinian, greatly. And we just hope that the people who were either given power, took power, or were elected into power utilize that wisely and do something to protect the people that they're supposed to represent. And I hope that we all can check our bias and our assumptions of different cultures and things that we don't understand. And instead of being afraid, we just open ourselves up to unconditional love and understanding and acceptance, and the desire to just want to protect not only the innocent lives of the civilians, of the people of both of these countries, but also protect the culture and the heritage and the history, and the future of countries that are at risk of being eliminated. So sorry that was really long-winded, on top of something that was additionally long-winded, but I did feel the need to just kind of add a little bit more context, I guess. So, okay, thank you.
Again, there's going to be another tone shift as we get into the actual topic of the episode.
Because I was telling Jerry a little bit of, if you've watched it, I don't know if you have, I might show you now if we have a break, but there is if you watch SNL, I don't know if a lot of people do still, I don't know if it's relevant. Yeah. I saw it on TikTok, but Pete Davidson had a great opening monologue where essentially, I mean, you can look it up, but he basically said, as somebody whose father was killed in a terrorist attack, those were very dark days, and now what he's feeling is kind of it's bringing those feelings up to the surface again.
Right.
And he remembers his mom accidentally buying a Eddie Murphy stand-up special, thinking it was like a child's movie.
Yep.
And him watching it, and when she realized it was probably inappropriate for an 8-year-old to watch, she went to shut it off, but she noticed that it was the first time that he was laughing again in a long time. So in that monologue, he says, we're going to try to do what we do best, which is in dark times, we're going to try to make you laugh and provide a distraction. So as much as it's hard, that's what we're here to do as well. So.
Right. So again, apologies for the tone shift, but we are going to get into the topic of the episode, which is
okay. So we thought of this like a month ago, but we wanted to do a somewhat history mystery again, but also spooky season. It's October. Next week, if you're able to, we would love you to send in any spooky encounters, whether it be simulation, ghost story, scary dream.
I saw one come in about a UFO.
Oh, we love them all. So LandT stories, landtstories@gmail.com. Send us your stories. That's next week because it comes out on Halloween. But this week, we're going to talk about the disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle.
All right.
Here we go. Here we fucking go.
You told me some information about the Bermuda Triangle that was wildly upsetting to me, and that it's not that far away from Florida.
Oh, buddy. Well, get ready to be wildly upset. wildly upset all around.
Well, if we're talking about Florida, I am definitely wildly upset.
Boy, did I learn a lot. So it is. Okay, so. First of all,
did I fucking tell you about what Ollie said in the car on the way to Sawyer's birthday?
No, what did he say?
So him and Forrest are having a full-on conversation in the back seat, okay?
I do love when kids get to that
Oh
age.
my
It's
God,
just
it was
like,
so
I love hearing kids talk to each other, and it's like, what the fuck you guys even say?
Ollie was like, there's a store. And Forrest goes, yep. And Ollie goes, that's where you buy couches and chairs and furniture. And Forrest goes, mm-hmm. And so basically the conversations where Ollie was pointing things out and Forrest was
like,
agreeing.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hype man.
Yep. And so Ollie is like, oh, and there is the bulldozer that we played on with Grandpa that one time. And Forrest is like, yeah, but no key. And Ollie's like, yeah, no, there was no key. We can't have the key. That's just for the construction guys. And Forrest goes, mm-hmm. And Shane and I are just sitting there. And then Ollie goes, I said just a lot of times then. And I laughed so fucking hard. I was like, yeah, you did. You said it so fucking much just then.
Dude, I love when kids get to that age where they're really just like understanding themselves and being people. They're like, they become real people.
Well, he also wanted to edit with me the one day.
Uh-oh.
And I was like,
I wouldn't.
I said, buddy, Cece and I say words sometimes that I don't really want you to listen to. So
in an order that you shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea that you sit here with me. But it was, you were reading your vows.
Oh.
It was the one Patreon episode. And I was like, she's reading her vows. She's not going to say anything. But immediately after, which is right about where I was, I take the gum out of my mouth and I go, I should take this out so I don't read these and sound like a dick.
Oh.
And Ollie goes, dick? And I said, oh, yeah. And he goes, that's not a very nice word. And I was like, no, it's not. And you shouldn't say it. And he goes, dick. And I was like, I want to fucking die. I want to die. Please stop saying dick. Here I was worried you were going to go to school and say stupid. And I just taught you dick. So.
Because we don't know dick about shit.
And we don't.
Don't listen with your kids around. Okay. That's what I know. First of all, I would like to say, in regards to the Bermuda Triangle, this is strictly from the historychannel.com 5 of the most mysterious Bermuda Triangle disappearances. If I were to tell you all of them, first of all, there's an estimated over 1,000 lives that have been lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Okay?
1,000?
Over 1,000, potentially.
Okay.
But that's an estimation.
Okay.
But they believe it's over.
Okay. So it's not it's not an overestimation. It's an underestimation.
Yes.
Okay.
Because of the ships and the planes, and it's not just ships.
Why did I think it was just ships?
No. That's what makes this so like, because there are a couple theories I'll tell you towards the end.
In my mind, it was just like a vortex in the middle that the ships fall through.
But what about the planes?
Okay.
So here's so the Bermuda Triangle makes up a literal triangle, and the head of it obviously is Bermuda, which is an island in the North Atlantic Ocean.
Okay.
So
Do
you
people go to Bermuda?
Yes. I mean, it is a very small island, but there are people that live there. There's not a lot of, like, I watched a documentary on, it's actually it was a History Channel documentary, In Search of the Terror of the Bermuda Triangle. I'm going to talk a lot about that episode.
Okay.
So just know that's where I got that. But there was a man that went there. A lot of people that go there now are either locals or scientists trying to figure
what's happening
things
here?
out there. Yeah. So a
What's
guy
going
traveled
on?
there. What's going on a plane, which I'm like, ballsy move, first of all. But he took
What's he going to take a jet ski?
Right.
Paddle
so he
boat?
takes a flight there, and he's literally the only one on the plane. And it's a very, very small island.
Well, I think because I'm thinking of the Beach Boys song, Kokomo, Bermuda, Bahama, come on,
Yeah. I
Mama.
mean, it's a beautiful island.
Well,
when they showed the ocean, it was like blue. You could see
It's a
straight
trap.
down. I mean, it is. Yeah. So, well, we'll talk about why. Bermuda. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then Florida, Miami area. So it
Okay.
connects down like that. So Bermuda's kind of like to the northeast of that.
Okay.
Then if you go
You
the
say
other
directions to me.
the other way, maybe south, east or west, whatever, you would get Puerto. I just listened to somebody saying stop
Puerto
Americanizing.
Rico.
They go stop Americanizing Puerto Rico. It's not Porto. So I was like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Puerto Rico.
But I cannot for the fuck of me roll my R's, and it's something that me and my tongue have had a lot of talk about. I'm furious. Okay, so that makes up the triangle.
I'm really good at rolling my R's.
You see?
Yes.
Look it up. It's
Yes.
so much fucking
It's
closer
an
to us.
isosceles.
than
It's
I
an
thought.
equilateral triangle.
Something like that. Yes.
Can I see it again? Oh, fuck.
Ah.
Oh, no, it's an isosceles.
Yes, I thought it was
It's
isosceles.
an isosceles.
Okay. Also known as the Devil's Triangle,
Oh.
stretch of ocean between Miami, Bermuda, and Costa Rica. That's correct. It's is
Costa Rica or Puerto Rico?
Well, that's what this is, but it is Puerto Rico. But
Okay.
I'm wondering how close is Costa Rica?
I don't know anything.
We should learn more.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I know about us. Okay. Is a unique part of the Atlantic Ocean in that it has been the site of more than 50 mysterious disappearances over the last century. Okay. So number 1, the first that we have on record,
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Columbus, the Santa Maria. Okay.
Okay.
Coming over, there is notes that while they were going through this path,
Uh-huh.
they started experiencing difficulty with compass navigation, and they saw, remember this, he explains it as like flames shooting out of the ocean high up into the sky, just big flames.
Okay.
And then their compasses were going fucking cuckoo bananas.
Okay.
So back in that time,
Yeah.
not great. That's what you rely on.
Right.
So I think back then that was a big issue. Was
Is there-
compasses would get fucky, and then if you have no GPS like we do today,
right.
what the fuck do you just get lost?
You got to use the stars. Haven't you watched Moana?
Oh, well, what if you can't see the stars? What if it's cloudy night?
It's a good point. It's partly cloudy.
So you don't know.
Are there volcanoes?
Well, what are islands made of?
That's true.
Uh-huh. Oh, we're gonna get there. Remember, that's why I said remember this.
So, does somebody believe that the flames shooting up was they just witnessed a volcanic eruption?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
that made Bermuda potentially. Okay, so here's the thing. Or one of those islands in the ocean. Or don't you dare.
Sorry.
I saw your face shift when I said it, and you were imagining me as a seal.
I was.
All right, so some have blamed fierce weather conditions or freak natural disasters, while others have turned to the supernatural. And we'll get into all of those little theories at the end.
I like to put them all together, make a pie, and say that's what I think.
Yeah, a nice... What is it when you put a lot of things together and then you bake it into like a sort of pie? It's like a
pot pie?
That's it exactly. A fucking pot pie. Oh my God, I used to fuck with chicken pot pie so hard.
Shane makes a great pot pie.
Well, not that I've seen, because I could use a chicken pot pie in my life.
He makes them.
I love them.
My sister, oh my God. Let me tell you this.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead before we talk about some sad stuff. No, it's okay.
My sister says she doesn't eat ugly food. Okay.
That's fair.
And we spent some time together and we found out that I don't eat sweaty food.
Oh, sweaty food's the worst.
That's food that's like
just too steamed.
Yes. And so
soggy.
It's just moist. Ugh. It's not even that I dislike that word. I dislike the way that it feels in my mouth. So
she likes a dry peen.
So I said to Rainey, I was like, you are what you eat, and that's why I'm ugly and you're sweaty. Because I will eat ugly food, and she'll eat sweaty food.
Turns out. And I'll eat anything, which is why I'm all of the above.
Ugly and sweaty.
So in 1881,
Uh-huh.
the Ellen Austin is a ship, okay? And it sets off from Liverpool and it's destined for New York. Carrying passengers emigrating to America, the ship had been at sea for several weeks when the captain decides to take an unplanned shortcut through the Sargasso Sea. Now remember Sargasso for later. We're going to talk about that word, okay? But right now, this is the Sargasso Sea. Known for its stormy nature, this route led the Ellen Austin through the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, no.
Which again, known for its stormy nature.
Yep.
Which is not great when
Yep.
you're already getting fucking lost and your compasses are going fucky.
Yep.
Shortly into the detour, the captain sighted another vessel sailing erratically in the distance.
Sailing erratically?
Yes.
What does that even mean?
Just fucking flip-flopping all over the ocean. The ship, when they approach the ship, and when they get to it, they see that it's completely abandoned. Just floating in the middle of the ocean with nobody on it. Okay?
It's a crewless ship?
Yes. Convinced that it was some form of trap, the captain keeps a safe distance for a couple days just following it. And then he orders a crew to go aboard and investigate why
it's empty.
They don't see anybody on there. So the unnamed ship was found to be abandoned, but had a fully intact cargo. So like it was going somewhere.
Right.
It had stuff. There was no sign of violence and no sign that there had been a reasonable excuse to abandon the ship. The Captain Griffin, ordered that a small selection of his crew board that ship, captain it, and then fucking hell yeah, we get 2 ships and some cargo. We're going to take it alongside us. So that's what they did. And he believed it could be salvaged. Because back then, by the way, too, ships were not fucking... You didn't just abandon a ship for no fucking reason.
Right.
That was so expensive, and especially the amount of cargo that was on this ship.
Well, a lot of times, too, it was like owned by the government.
Right.
Like the king would be like, take this boat and go over and I'll pay you.
Right. So, shortly after they resume their journey, a heavy storm happens and the 2 ships get separated.
Uh-oh.
I know. When the storm finally passes, Captain Griffin and his crew see the ship ahead of them. Once again, they're like, great. They pull up alongside of it and finds that, once again, it was completely abandoned with no sign of bloodshed or reasonable damage.
So his crew was gone?
Gone. No sign of damage to the ship. No sign of bloodshed. Just gone.
Wild.
Whether too scared to lose yet more crew or pressed for time and resources, he opted to leave the ship adrift and then continue to New York just on his ship. And the ship and its makeshift crew were never seen again.
Whoa.
That's just the beginning.
Part of me is like, why didn't you just like tie a rope to it and tug it along?
They were big fucking cargo ships at the time.
Feels like a missed opportunity.
Well, they tried their best.
Yeah, I guess.
And then their people, that's a
I know. They did lose some
scary.
people. Yeah.
Okay, so this next one is 1918, March 4th.
Okay.
The USS Cyclops, okay? On
Okay.
March 4th, the USS Cyclops set sail destined for Baltimore, Maryland.
What year is this?
1918.
Okay. That's my mom's birthday, not the 1918.
I know
part.
that was Noah's due date. That's why I thought I remembered that. With no scheduled stops along the route, she was due to arrive in port with a full load of manganese ore, some kind of something, on the 13th of March. Okay,
I think that's a metal.
Probably.
Iron
So a
ore?
lot of these, were most of these ships were taking either people or cargo. Like
Right.
it was all
resources.
like a big ship full of important things. So these were, what I'm trying to say is the crews, they weren't like explorer ships. These were crews that had been traveling this path multiple times. So very experienced.
Right.
However, the ship never arrived at her intended destination. The last transmission received from the ship reported that weather fair, all well. And then never seen from again.
I'm freaking out right now because it sounds like there's water running behind you.
Where the fuck is that?
Is it in our closet?
It's gotta be. I thought I was hallucinating.
No, I'm like, am I fucking tripping that I hear this water right now?
Just a pipe, maybe? Weird. Guess. They just be pissing.
Piss gettle. Piss gettle. Piss dale. Sorry. Okay.
So what's bizarre about that is that there was no storms that they encountered and also no SOS messages. So normally if there was going to be a shipwreck, there was some kind of communication to let people know that might potentially be what's happening, and then they could send people out to look for them. There was never any message. It was just like all of a sudden they were gone.
I'm just imagining them sending Rihanna's
Please, someone help us. Okay, so this has led many to speculate what might have caused the ship and the entire crew to vanish somewhere in that 9-day window. To this day, the disappearance of the USS Cyclops remains the largest recorded loss of life in the U.S. naval history because it lost a crew of 305 people that day.
Holy shit.
Completely
And it's a
disappeared.
naval ship?
Yes.
Did you say that in the beginning?
No.
Okay, I was going to say.
It was a naval ship.
Holy shit. So,
Yes.
like, I'm assuming in 1918.
So, like, all of those people on there were crew. That was a crew of 305 people.
Right.
Working
and like,
people for that ship. So there should be no reason that it should have gone down.
And if it's a military ship, then even if it's in 1918, there's probably some kind of a connection to the mainland.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. But the last message they got was weather fair, all well. We're good to go.
Has anyone, like, gone in the ocean to see if there's anything down there and there's nothing?
So if you watch this, there are some.
Okay.
But this is one ship that's never been found. But if you watch the History Channel
I know there's a lot of ocean
episode that I link, or that we're gonna link, they found like 2, he explores in that episode 2 shipwrecks and a plane wreck in the ocean. But some of them, you have to understand, some of the parts of the ocean are so fucking deep.
Yeah.
That like we can't even get to it.
Right.
So, and they just have no idea where they've searched for some of these ships, but some of them are just gone.
Wow.
Okay, the next one is the Witchcraft. The Witchcraft was a 23-foot luxury cruiser that disappeared on the evening of December 22nd. This is weird, right? Because this is your dad's birthday.
That's my dad's birthday.
That is fucking weird. I didn't put those two together until we just talked about that. Ew. Okay. So it's your parents are the problem.
Hey, you ain't got to tell me twice. Weird.
Yeah. So when was your dad born? Do you know what year?
Yeah.
What year?
63.
Oh, okay, because this is 1967. So I knew it was going to be in the 60s. And I was like, was this the exact day that your father was born?
No, my mom was born in 64. My dad was born the December before, so that would have been 63.
Okay, great.
Yes,
this was his 4th birthday.
Okay, great.
Loss of life.
Great.
Not good. Okay. So it disappears this night. The boat's owner had invited his close friend out onto the ocean to look at the Christmas lights over the water of Miami. So that's how close it is, okay?
The fact, would you get on a luxury cruise liner named the Witchcraft?
Yes. Like, why are you even asking? Without a fucking second thought. Yes.
I hope they played I Told the Witch Doctor I Was in Love with You.
You know those people were fun as fuck, probably. He was having a good time.
You think?
Especially in that day and age to name it the Witchcraft. Yeah, they were fucking cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The plan was to go a short distance out to sea, switch the engine off, and then just look at the Christmas lights, which I think is actually really beautiful. That's
It is
so
really
cool,
beautiful.
especially if you're just like, hey, buddy, come out with me. That's fun. And they were roommates. Okay, that's speculation. I don't know anything about these people.
No.
At 9 p.m. that night, the Miami Coast Guards received a distress call that calmly informed them that the boat had hit something in the water and it would require a tow from less than a mile offshore. That's all the farther it was. From the shore.
Mile?
A mile. The owner indicated that this wasn't an emergency and that they would fire a flare to let the Coast Guards know of the boat's exact location so they could come get them. Less than 20 minutes later, the Coast Guards reached the point where they believed the call had been made, but there was no sign of the Witchcraft or the flares. Neither the Witchcraft or the 2 passengers were ever seen again.
What?
Right?
It's so bizarre to me, especially because like just a mile offshore, you wouldn't think
And
that
you're
it's
having
like
communication with people clearly.
Right.
So what went wrong? What happened?
because like a mile out, you wouldn't think that the ocean off of Miami is that deep where that boat specifically would disappear.
But again, maybe something happened that pulled it out. Or my favorite theory, aliens. Or Loch Ness. Some kind of sea monster.
You think there's a sea monster?
I mean, I just think we don't know enough about the ocean to rule it out. Okay.
Well, I'm for that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that was like
It's
if
not
there's a theory.
there's a couple.
It's a
we'll
you
get to it.
theory?
It's me theory for sure, but we'll
Okay.
get to it. Now, this is not the last one, but this is probably the most
Well-known?
noted.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the Flight 19. This one is fucking insane, by the way.
Okay. Didn't they just find that plane?
No.
They still haven't?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was the plane they just found?
Great question. I wish I knew.
Not Madrid, not Mongolia. It was like flight something.
It's my flight.
That's my flight. my
That's
motherfucking
my
flight.
motherfucking flight.
I'm gonna look it up. You
All right,
go ahead
go
and
ahead.
talk.
I can't. You have to be
Oh,
present. And I
okay.
know you're not when you're looking things up.
Missing flight. Malaysia Airlines.
Yes.
Malaysia 370.
Okay, but no, that wasn't this one.
Okay,
But I
okay.
do remember that. I
Well,
remember
now I
that.
don't feel so stupid. At least it wasn't
Yeah. Okay, so perhaps the most notorious of disappearances in the Triangle. Flight 19 and the PMB. Sorry, nope, I'm dyslexic. The PBM.
Mm-hmm.
That gets me sometimes when there's a lot of letters together.
Mhm,
That's when it's the worst.
No
for me.
vowels.
God. PBM. You guys, real quick. You should hear me and Jerry try to do ads where we have to spell shit. And like, but like, I know I have a touch of dyslexia, definitely dyscalculia.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact. But like, it's never more evident than when we have to spell things.
Especially if it's a website and I have
Oh
to add.
my fuck.
There was one where I had to say www dot and I kept saying www dot.
Well, she did it like 6 times, and every time I was like, "You're joking.
You're only doing 2 W's. There's a third one. I'm like, everyone knows that there's 3 W's.
Why do I have to say it?" Yeah. Okay, sorry. The PBM Mariner has left even the greatest minds reaching for answers. So when Flight 19, a group of 5 Avenger torpedo bombers, they take off from Fort Lauderdale on December 5th, 1945.
Okay.
So think this is World War II
Right.
era.
Right.
They had expected their 3-hour bombing journey to be just as uneventful as the runs they'd done countless times before. So this was just a run. This was just like a practice.
Right.
They're just like getting their fucking whatever. And these are, again, all very experienced flyers.
Right.
Shortly after dropping their payload of replica bombs, the patrol began to run into trouble. Lieutenant Charles C. Taylor, an experienced pilot, believed his compass started to malfunction, like we talked about before, and that Flight 19 had been flying in the wrong direction. Concerned, he contacted another Navy flight instructor who was flying close to the Florida coast, okay? With the weather getting increasingly worse, okay, imagine this. Just for a second, I want us to put ourselves there. You're flying, your only, sight is your compass, because at that point, the fog clouds and everything is so heavy around you that you're looking around. I was on a flight recently when we came back from Orlando, and we got into a cloud, and I looked around, and I immediately thought I was going to, start I did start panicking a little bit, but it didn't become a full-blown panic attack. I just felt like I couldn't breathe because I felt claustrophobic, because I'm like, I can't see anything.
That's how I felt when I looked out and it looked like we weren't
moving. Yeah. So imagine you're doing that in a small ass plane, okay, just flying in the air, and then all of a sudden the only thing that's directing you starts spinning and going crazy. And you have no idea where you're at. You're lost. You see nothing when you come out of the clouds but open ocean. Okay. I just wanted to get us all in a real freaked out mood. Okay.
You there? You with us?
We're there. Concerned, Taylor contacted the flight instructor. Got it. With the weather getting increasingly worse, Taylor went against protocol of pointing a lost plane towards the setting sun. Believing that they were heading somewhere over the Florida Keys, he was adjusting the heading in an attempt to navigate towards the Gulf of Mexico. Sensing his mistake, some of his men challenged his decision to continue northeast and convinced him to turn tail and head back westward. For reasons unknown, he once again turned the flight back around and was still concerned that they were somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico. As the flight flew further away from land, their transmissions became fainter and fainter. Having flown for more than their allotted time, the crew was starting to get concerned that they wouldn't be able to correct their navigation before they ran out of fuel. In his final transmission, Taylor told his men that once the first plane dropped below 10 liters of fuel, they would all ditch together for a greater chance of rescue. So just kind of go their separate ways so that at least hopefully someone would get rescued. A few short minutes later, the transmissions ended. Certain that the flight had ditched into the ocean, the Navy immediately launched a search and rescue effort.
Yeah.
2 Mariner flying boats were scrambled to search for the missing Flight 19. So a boat, right, is out there looking for them. However, 20 minutes after taking off, one of the Mariners disappeared off the radar. Neither of the 13 crewmen, 5 pilots of Flight 19, nor the wreckages of any of the aircraft were ever recovered.
What?
So the entire boat that went to look for them, all 5 planes and pilots were gone.
Do we think it's wild that a lot of these are military related?
Well, I think that's just those are people that are going to be flying planes that aren't like commercial flights, you know what I mean?
But also the naval ship.
Yeah, but think about it. Especially nowadays, why would anyone else have to go? It would be a lot of practice, I guess, especially off of, I think those like Fort Lauderdale and stuff, those are all bases. So
but there's cruise ships down there.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Curious.
Very. I don't know enough about the Navy. I don't.
Well, I'm not insinuating anything.
I'm so fucking scared.
I just think it's interesting that a lot of these are military, but at the same time, who else is going to have constant communication with
because
someone
they're
on
not
land?
the only ones that have been lost. They're just the most curious cases because they were literally talking to people and fine moments before they were gone.
Right.
Forever. Okay. So the last one is the Great Isaac Lighthouse disappearance. So here we go. Unlike other disappearances, the Great Isaac Lighthouse mystery is unique in that both lighthouses keepers were stationed on land when they vanished.
Land?
A barren island.
Land tea stories to send all of your spooky stories.
Hey, we want to hear it. And also while you're there, go to patreon.com/ladies and tangents and give us some love.
Smash
Seriously.
all the buttons.
Smash them.
Except the dislike. Don't you fucking touch
Don't
that.
you fucking do it. Sorry. Okay.
If you're going to hit a star, you better hit it 5 times. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Okay, so the Great Island Rock is a barren island that already comes with a grim history.
Okay.
Local lore told of a ship that wrecked with no survivors except for, I've heard of this, except for a single infant.
What?
And then it's told, actually this is not in here, but I remember hearing about this, that they call her the Gray Lady, walks around the island. It's the mother trying to look for her baby.
I have chills. Ew.
I know, because guess what, bitches? One of the other things I was going to do was talk about haunted places in America, including like some of the most like some real haunted spooky stories like that. So that was a potential. If you want that eventually, drop a comment below and let us know if you're into these spooky things. But okay. So, first put into service in the mid-1800s, the lighthouse housed the island's only 2 inhabitants on the island as its keepers. Okay? So it's the only 2 people that lived there on this entire island.
Okay.
Romantic.
And they were roommates.
On August 4th, 1969, a small bomb. I'm sorry, I'm having a silly goofy.
C'est les bétons, c'est des bonbons. Les baissins de les bons. Oui, oui.
A small boat was launched. That's where I was going with that. To check on the lighthouse. Because they were like, hey guys, you fucking good over here? Turns out no.
The lighthouse of rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Routine calls had gone unanswered, and upon arrival, the investigators discovered that the island was empty and there was no sign of its 2 guardians anywhere. A hurricane had passed over the island shortly before, but the lack of damage to the living quarters raised the question as to why 2 experienced lighthouse keepers wouldn't have stayed put where they were the safest.
So sorry.
What?
The phrase 2 experienced lighthouse keepers is very funny. Because like if you were to say 2 experienced like captains of like a ship or 2 experienced pilots.
Like, how do you get the experience to be a lighthouse keeper?
That's what I'm saying. Like what kind of training? Intense training.
What's your qualifications?
Koala.
I used to have a shirt that said something about partying, but it said qualified. Oh, it said qualified to party. And it was a drunk koala. All right, anyways.
Oh, God.
Others believe that the pair were caught in a drug smuggling ring, or perhaps they were both kidnapped, but with no evidence of foul play to suggest anything else. The fate of both keepers remains a mystery to this day.
Interesting.
This is not the only time that isolated lighthouse keepers have disappeared. By the way, if you want to know, 3 men vanished from the Flannan Isles, a small group off the northwestern coast of Scotland, in 1900.
Huh.
Scary. What the fuck's happening to these people?
What happened to that baby you were talking about?
I don't know. I can't remember because I didn't research that one because of the ghost story. But if you would like us to, drop us a comment below and I will look that fucking story up for you.
Where's the baby?
What's up with all these babies?
What happens next?
All right. Do you want to hear theories?
Theories? Yes, I do.
Now, I don't have a lot of them written down. I'm going straight off the dome piece here.
That's fine.
Number 1.
So understand, everyone.
They might be fucked up. I do have one of them that is the most likely written down.
Were you writing this the other day?
Okay. Because I knew it, but I was like, this one's important to get right because there are a lot of sciencey words in it. And I was like, don't fuck this
I
up.
was on a call and I look over and she's just like writing like she's running out of time.
Was because I thought we were going to record
that day. I thought
she
was writing me a note.
No, it's this. Okay, so aliens.
Yes.
Obviously. Number 1. I think because, well, we're not going to say what number 1. It could table that in monsters of the ocean.
Right.
The other one is near Bermuda. Specifically, I saw it in this documentary that I watched. Remember Sargasso Sea?
Yes.
Sargasso is a type of algae that comes up from the ocean floor. And around Bermuda, specifically in that area, there has been like a lot of it. It's been overpopulating, so to say.
Okay.
Ships, when they go through it, can become stuck in the Sargasso.
Okay.
Okay. But
is the algae called Sargasso?
Yes.
And that's why they call it the Sargasso Sea?
Yes.
Okay.
So
They used to call me Sir Gasso.
Sir Gassy bitch.
Because I be stinky. I be tootin'. I be taking ships down with my ass.
I'm taking shits down. Overboard. Okay. But that doesn't really explain then what the fuck
plane?
happens to the planes and the ships and all of those things.
Right.
Okay. But that could be with all of the bad weather.
Yes.
Also in Bermuda, there have been like record waves, like tidal waves that
Those
are so
scary.
fucking big
Those are scary.
that could be a cause as well. So big that potentially a smaller aircraft flying low could be taken down by one if it doesn't see it.
Bitch,
I
absolutely not.
You want to know what else could do it? Water spouts.
The
Do you know
fuck
what
is a water
spouts?
spout?
Think tornado.
When you tip me over?
Think
Oh, that's it.
tornadoes.
Is that a water spout?
What?
Oh, that's the itsy bitsy spider. What the fuck am I doing? That wasn't a little teapot.
that was I'm a little teapot.
Water spout? That's the
Yeah,
itsy
that's
bitsy
itsy bitsy
spider.
I don't know what the fuck you were doing. You were doing pour me out, not water spout.
Pour me out, water spout. That's what I always say.
Yes.
Sorry.
Water spout is a tornado over the ocean. So
Yes.
think you see those big ones that could get a
Yes.
plane, obviously, but it also can create like a vortex in the ocean that could potentially
Suck it under.
suck it in. Yes.
Yes.
Scary.
So scary. That's believable because I feel like a lot of hurricanes come from that side.
That's
and
exactly
so-
right. Well, and so if you're combining all of these things
Big weather
with
area.
like scary weather,
Yeah.
but the biggest issue that we were running into, let me make sure I didn't.
You and the other researchers.
I have devoted so much more time to this. Okay. So, yes, me and the other researchers. What's going on with the compasses?
What is going on with the compi?
And I think we have an answer.
We do?
I think we do. Here we
Is
go.
it something to do with the polls?
Mm.
Get to the polls, everybody, in November.
Seriously, vote. God damn it. So this is from that History Channel documentary. This
Yes.
is a geologist who was born in Bermuda is
Okay.
telling this. Correct? Okay. So Bermuda was created by a volcano
Mm-hmm.
that erupted millions of years ago. Okay. So that potentially that couldn't have been maybe what Christopher Columbus saw, but what we think he did see is probably volcanic action happening because he's out in the sea and this is how islands are formed, people.
Right.
Welcome to science class. So, however, this particular volcano that created Bermuda was unlike any other volcano on the planet.
Okay.
Bermuda's lava is so unique that up until now, it's not ever been discovered anywhere else in the world.
Really?
Why, you may say? Well, I'll tell you. That lava specifically has been extremely enriched with minerals, including titanium dioxide and iron oxide,
Okay.
Which when combined, they
a
make
rin-tin-tin.
a rin-tin-tin and a rin-tin-tin. They make a mineral called magnetite.
So it fuckies with the compi.
It fuckies with the compi. We are science girlies. God damn it. I hope Hank Green is
Hank
not
Green.
listening to this episode. Hank, this is not my research, so if I'm wrong.
Fucky with the compi is my phrase, though. I'm a hunky fucky compi.
That's what I know. Okay, so magnetite is the most magnetic, naturally occurring mineral on Earth.
Naturally.
It makes sense. It's in the fucking name, you stupid idiots.
Yes.
Bermuda's volcanic rock is 18 to 20% magnetite. Okay. And most soils in the world contain between 1 to 5%.
Wow.
So when you look at those, that's a big fucking percentage.
It is.
So magnetic.
Does it have like its own pole?
Well, hold on. There's an estimated volume of over 400 billion tons of magnetite that makes up that island. Okay? That's fucking a lot.
That is a lot.
More than any other island on the planet.
Can we do anything with that?
I don't know. I think they might be. Here's
Sorry.
where it gets fucky. You
Capitalism
ready?
is getting to me.
I
I'm
know.
like, can we monetize this shit? Let's
What
fucking
can we do?
Can we get Bermuda? Give us your magnetite.
They probably are, to be fair. But here's where it gets crazy because it's not just Bermuda that this is happening. It's the triangle. It's
Right,
it's
right.
the area around it, correct?
Yes.
Well, think about over time. Erosion is happening.
Yes.
And it is pulling that lava rock into the
Yes.
ocean. And okay,
Yep.
so they believe that it's washing into the sea and that the magnetite in that area is now deposited up to 120 miles all the way around Bermuda.
So really, the triangle could be
Well, and there's okay, so if you watch this, I highly recommend it.
Okay.
Go watch this documentary. So I found it on YouTube. But they're also saying potentially, you talked about the poles, that there right now is a magnetic shift happening with the poles. I got so excited that I just ate my fucking microphone right there. Did you see that? I straight up licked it. I was like, oh. So the triangle that's like this,
that's not a triangle. What you're making with your fingers.
that's like this,
Uh-huh.
this triangle that's happening right
Yep.
here. Okay, imagine my knee is Miami. Here's
Uh-huh.
the triangle.
Yep.
Recently, we haven't seen a lot happening in here.
Yep.
You know where we have seen some
Fuckery.
right here along the coast, almost
Oh.
up like North Carolina, Georgia area. So what they're thinking is potentially with the poles shifting,
Oh.
the triangle is moving over, and the so I
That would
think
explain
that the pole
sharks.
shifting. Yes. Anyways,
I don't know how. But
I think that there, my theory of aliens potentially or
A
water
monster.
monsters.
Water monsters.
I mean, sure, that's fun. Okay, everybody loves that. There could be a megalodon somewhere
Yeah.
that the fucking NASA's not telling us
Right.
about. But I think this makes the most sense that it's this
magnetite.
yeah, and that it was fucking with compasses, and then when you
Or
add all
other
of those other
electronics.
things into the mix,
Yeah.
it's not going to be very safe. So
Yeah. Interesting. Although
That's
the
what
fact
we
that they
have for
can't
you.
find it is wild. Anything is wild. And
but again, the ocean is such a
but they have so many like no fly zones that I feel like if this kept happening, they should be like, hey guys.
you would think,
No
but
one's
it's
allowed.
such a heavily traveled area, and like not all of them are going missing.
Well, shouldn't we just take the road less traveled?
you would think, but
Take the ocean.
capitalism, baby, money, 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 money. Anyways,
So
that's all I have for you today on the disappearances. There's so many more, but I couldn't get into all
Interesting.
of them. So I just did kind of the biggest ones. And obviously, if you want to talk more, we love a history mystery. We're having a good time with them.
Yeah.
I think that they're kind of, I wouldn't say fun, but definitely interesting.
yes.
Definitely interesting to
Mhm.
think about. And yeah, I want to learn more about this because I'll tell you though, anything that has to do with like the core of our earth freaks me the fuck out.
It really does. It really does.
Freaks me out. Space freaks me out. Core of the earth?
Yep.
Neither one of those should be my business.
Yep.
So, I mean, I did kind of spiral when doing this, but here we are. It was a good time.
Yeah, that is. Well, I don't know if good's the
It's
word. It's a
something.
time. It's a time. And thank you guys for hanging out during this time.
If you'd like more, please follow us over to patreon.com/ladies and tangents. That's where we're going right now. You'll see us in a week there.
Yeah. That's that on the Bermuda Triangle, everyone. We love you so much. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next week.
All right.
We're out.
Goodbye.